Well, good evening, YouTube and chat. Hope everybody's having a good evening. Well, this is going to be an exciting stream here. Okay, so CannoliSasquatch, hello, sir.
Hello, how you doing, Jacob? Thanks for having me on, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. And we got Magitek Mags. How are you doing?
I'm well, Jacob. I hope everybody's good in the chat and everybody's good here. And make sure you hit that like button and share the stream link out.
Oh, yeah. And Pops, how are you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm blessed, my friend. Thanks for having me back. Hail, everybody here. Cannoli, Mags, and of course, chat. Awesome. I see everybody out there. Mrs. C. Hey, how you doing, Mrs. C? Dempsey. Hey, brother. You're Barmy. All right. Let's rock and roll, man. Let's do this.
Yeah, just say hello to the people in the chat. Hello, Mrs. Cannoli. And Melvin, hello. Hey, Dempsey. Who's this? Hello there.
You're Barmy.
You're Barmy. And that's it right now. Alrighty, let's get into this. Let's go through the cast real quick and talk about them real quick. So we got Henry Fonda, Lee J. Cobb, Martin Blesmy, John Fiddler, E.G. Marshall, Jack Klugman, Edward Binns, Jack Warden, Joseph Sweeney, Ed Begley, George Vasquez. Can't pronounce that one. Robert Weber.
Yeah, oh, so George is Vaskovich.
Vaskovich, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So great cast.
Can we touch on that a little bit? Because I mean, that's an amazing cast. I mean, Ed Begley, Ed Begley is the dad of Ed Begley Jr. Probably has more fame than his dad, but Edward Binns, you might know from North by Northwest, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
E.G. Marshall, of course, is probably more famous for playing President and Superman, but he's done other stuff. I mean, a lot of older films and that kind of thing. But of course, Jack Klugman went on to do Odd Couple. I mean, one of the most renowned actors of, when I was a kid, that's for sure. I think Jack Warden won an Oscar for, or at least was nominated. Maybe I should say that, 'cause I'm not sure if he won for Shampoo, but Jack Warden was a big, and I think he's also big into work with like Brian Song and stuff back in the day when that was a big deal. Brian Song is the football movie that had to do with the Bears. So yeah.
Cool.
So I don't remember Vaskovich. I want to almost have to look it up. He did something else, I think. But anyway, yeah, great cast.
Lee J. Cobb was the judge in the Virginian series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and Jack Klugman too. Played in a few Twilight Zones.
Quincy.
Yep. Yeah, and here we'll go into read a little bit about the movie, the production of it. Let's see here. What was I looking for? Can y'all see that?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, so let me find, where was I? I lost my place. Reginald Rose wrote the screenplay for The 12 Angry Men. Was initially produced for television and was broadcast live on CBS program Studio One. A complete censorship. What is that? Hang on. Let me go down a little bit.
Is it kinescope or kinescope?
Kinescope. Yeah, kinescope.
Yeah. It's really odd word.
Yeah, it is. Which had been missing for years and was feared lost, but was found in 2013. That's cool. I wonder if they have that anywhere to watch. Yeah, and the director, Sidney Lumet.
LeMay.
Lumet, okay. Yeah, it was his first, 12 Angry Men was his first movie.
Jeez. It's a good way to start your career.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and let's see here.
He went on to like have he has a ton of amazing films in his resume though. Right.
God,
Yeah.
Dog Day Afternoon is one that comes to my mind. Like just, but he worked on Child's Play. I mean, it's just a crazy resume of stuff. So dude's, crazy stuff.
Yeah, this is interesting. At the beginning of the film, the cameras are positioned above eye level and mounted with a wide angle lenses to give an appearance of greater depth between subjects. But as the film progresses, the focal length of the lenses is gradually increased. By the end of the film, nearly everyone is shown in close-ups using telephoto lenses from a lower angle, which decreases or shortens depth of field. LeMay stated that his intention is using these techniques with cinematographer Boris Kaufman was to create a nearly palatable claustrophobia. That's cool.
And Kaufman is a famous cinematographer. He's won a couple of Oscars. He's won at least one Oscar. I know he won for On the Waterfront. I don't know if he won for anything else. Maybe Baby Doll, maybe. I don't know. Just a super famous cinematography in the industry.
Yeah. And the Rose, he was a writer on Twilight Zone too.
Yeah.
So let me...
So you're getting top-notch performance and production teams, folks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love this opening shot. Where
it's very intimidating, isn't it? It's very looping, and it you see the pillars. It's like it's a foundational
Pillars of Justice, kind of.
Yep. It's a really cool shot.
Yeah, it is.
It's kind of establishing the importance of its structure. It's a very sound and solid structure in justice, and it definitely provides the audience a feel of this is something to be, not necessarily to be feared, but also something to be reverent towards. So
right, taken seriously.
Right.
Anyway, go ahead, Jacob. Sorry.
I'm actually going to have to bring it up a different way because it's not letting me skip ahead little bits. So let me talk amongst yourselves. So let me pull that up.
Now this is definitely set. It seems like in New York City? Is that?
I think it's Manhattan.
Right.
Yeah, Manhattan.
New York.
Yeah, it seems like there was a. We find out later there's a baseball game going on. I think it's the Yankees versus the
Cleveland, I think.
Yeah, or is it Baltimore or
maybe?
Well, the guy's a Baltimore fan.
Yeah, Jack Klugman was a Baltimore fan. He was getting ribbed throughout the whole movie by Jack Morgan's character. But yeah, I thought it was Cleveland, the Yankees, but yeah, you might be right.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, he deserved to be ripped apart, especially with the Yankees back in the day, kind of owning and dominating the sport.
Oh yeah.
Oh my goodness.
But I think each character has a representation of society and culture, right? So you have the guy who just I'd rather just be at a baseball time. Let's just get on with this. Whereas the other person, you have different people with different takes and different perspectives. And I really enjoy watching the journey they all sort of take. Of course, we when we get there, we can talk a little more about some of the thought processes of how certain things kind of play out. But yeah. Really, really underrated film. I'm glad we got to do this.
Oh yeah,
and it's you're right, Pops. When we were talking in the back room, this is a perfect example of a great movie for I think film students should watch. just to show how little they work with here, but how massive in terms of depth and quality and dialogue is portrayed, and completely, it just whoever thought in a hot jury room, because there wasn't air conditioning back in the day. In a hot juror room with a bunch of different personality types, so to speak. We'll get into those. That actually, and you're right, Pops, it does have, each personality type does have a reflection of society and the different characteristics. And I felt when I was watching this too, because I've seen this like 1,000 times, but just watching in perspective, recently, the characters seem like people that we kind of see today. So
absolutely.
Oh, definitely. It was definitely ahead of its time in that perspective. And then it reminds me somewhat of a movie that came much later, obviously, that was based off a play and was stuck in one setting. It was Glenn Ross. In that same vein, where it's just amazing acting. It's in this office setting. It's kind of it's very similar in that regard. So I don't know if there was some inspiration taken from Glengarry, because it was, I don't know how many decades later. But I kind of put it in that category of just, if you want to see, like you were saying, just good writing and a clinic on acting, that's it. Just great dialogue. And when I was young watching this movie, my family members were like, "What the heck are you watching this movie for? Like, you're about 20 years old and you're watching 12 Angry Men?" And I'm like, "Yeah, because it's fantastic." Yeah, my grandparents were like ecstatic, like, "Wait, what?" Because their generation's like, "Oh, your generation likes all this garbage," and I'm like, "Well, no, but I grew up watching these movies, so it's
so funny. We noticed that kind of generational gap too in some of the dialogue in this movie. That I'm just like, I'm a millennial, and I hear the same sort of dialogue being thrown at me all the time, and I'm like,
I mean, there's some noticeable things, like certain cadences they use with their words. It shows that it's a sign of the times. But overall, I still think this movie was way ahead of its time in general, and it still definitely holds up today. So you're right. It's just one of those that'll just stand the test of time, at least in my opinion.
Oh, I love this shot. Inspiration of justice is the firmest pillar of God. I mean, of good. It's just like, whoa! It's just already.
Yeah, and I love how it cuts. Let's see if I can get it on it.
To like the hallways.
No, it cuts to like looking up in the rotunda, and then it pans down.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah, I like how it goes over the juror. It slowly goes over the jurors there. That scene. That's because you could see kind of each expression coming from each juror, especially the one that wanted him guilty. No matter what, he's kind of looking down and looks agitated already. So you just get a sense of, where these characters might go as the deliberations go on. So they do a great. I always say, when you could set up the story within the first few minutes of the movie, and you can get a sense of how this is going to go. That's just great screenwriting right there. It's great directing, great screenwriting.
I love the fact that it's all shot. This is literally like one day's work to shoot on location at this courthouse, and everything else is just shot in one room. So one of my points backstage was, what a great lesson for someone who is an aspiring independent filmmaker who wants to do a low budget film or something like that. Just conceptually what you can accomplish by just thinking a little differently, maybe looking at different plays as inspiration, that kind of thing. So, because really that's it. There's only maybe 20 people total in this film, counting the extras. And just 12 dudes and a bailiff, and that's pretty much it the rest of the way.
And it was a 3-week shoot.
That's amazing.
Wow.
The thing is, with a lot of these types of films, though, especially back in the day in Hollywood, is that it was expected. You didn't. An actor and actress today usually does like one movie or two movies every like 3 or 4 years. Back then, you did like 2 or 3 movies in 1 year. So, doing it in 3 weeks was something that they were familiar with. And it's amazing how they were able to get this movie done in that amount of time.
Yeah,
definitely.
And here's the goings on.
You could even see there, like, the guy's agitated already.
Yeah.
It's like, why am I here? I don't want to
You
do
see
this.
you see the pensive ones, you see the calm ones, you see the ones that are, quiet and
Mhm.
at first kind of I mean it's probably not the proper term for it, but demure at first because they don't want
Mhm.
to, rock the boat or anything, that sort of stuff. And
But
then
yeah,
yeah.
you could even see Henry Fonda. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You
No,
can see
it's okay.
Henry Fonda has got his his finger on his head. He's just kind of thinking, and at first you don't notice like this is something I didn't notice until I rewatched it. Little things like that, like, oh yeah, he's sitting there contemplating everything, and then you got the guy who looks agitated, and you got guy with the glasses looking straight ahead, like all serious and stern
And very
um,
straight. He's just not
straight.
moving.
Yeah. So I mean, they set up these
You got
characters so well.
You got this guy blowing his nose.
Yep.
Yeah, with the handkerchief, and he's got a summer cold, and he's complaining about the. Jack Warden with the Yankee tickets is like, come on, can we just get out of here so I can go to this ball game? Let's just get this over with. So, yeah.
Something too, I forgot that the alternate jurors.
Mhm.
That this is the only time we see them.
Yep.
Mhm.
But yeah, I was thinking even the judge looks bored.
Yep.
It's like,
Yeah,
get me
exactly.
out of here.
Exactly.
I mean, but can you imagine though, that courtroom in that building must have been so freaking hot. I would have been
Oh,
falling
yeah.
asleep myself.
Seriously.
And several times you see the judge reach for some water.
Yep. And when he's even leaning, like before he even closes out his, final statements, just to kind of give them the final instructions, he's even leaning on his hand on his arm. And it's just like completely and utterly like done with it.
Yeah.
Checked out.
By the way, the guy that plays the judge is he's also in Godfather.
Really?
And he's one of the Dons. He's like Carmine, I think.
Interesting.
Oh yeah, you're right. Good call.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So
hard to
Henry
get it.
Fonda really pulled together people who were really top notch, who end up having just
Yeah.
massive careers and just a really big legacy in film history. So
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to get it on the right frame, but I love
the picture of
scene
the
where they're
kid?
walking out.
Oh, with the
Several of them, look back at him. It's really interesting. I like how they did that.
Yeah.
I did like how they put the shot on the kid and
right up close. Yeah.
and it just
The
it
last shot.
really pinpoints that his life is literally in their hands.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, look at the face.
Yeah, his fear in his eyes. He's just this, like you said, it's a life and death situation, and you can see it written all on his face.
He's kind of almost accepted, but also fearful at the same time.
Exactly.
Yeah.
on my rewatch, I thought it was funny when I look at this kid and then the way they describe him like it's like this punk criminal, low life, poor kid.
Yeah.
And I look at this kid and I'm like, it sounds like some Jewish kid. Like, all right, whatever. Like, it's funny how times have changed. So like, it's just like, I don't know. It's so funny.
Well, he just looks like he's a kid with a rough life, obviously, that when we find out, and a rough life that just, it's sometimes you just get played or dealt with the wrong cards.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
it's true.
See, we're gonna skip ahead here. Here we go.
I do.
I love this fan. The fan.
The fan is almost a character in this scene.
Yeah, seriously.
I have to, like I said in the backstage, I do like the minimal amount of music. It's not annoying. It doesn't distract from you from paying attention to what's going on in the jury room. It just completely
just a simple little track.
Yep.
We just talked about his Yankee game already. I love Henry Fonda's character here because he's very just stoic. He doesn't really talk much. He's just kind of like just looking out, thinking, observing. And when people are talking to him, he's really not saying much, just generals like, yes or hello. But this guy, Jack Warden's just talking his ear off, and he's just like, okay.
Yeah, he says here, this is going to be the hottest day on record.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just hot; it's the hottest day.
Mm-hmm. So that's
Sure is.
already establishing in your mind as the viewer, thinking, okay, it's going to cause irritation and irritability, and just
Mhm.
things are going to. It's almost like a foreshadowing too. It's like things are going to get heated, and things are going to really come to light with this stuff. So
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and they're all wearing suits.
can you imagine?
Oh god.
And again, compare and contrast, right? So Henry Fonda's character, Juror 8, is the only one who's like pondering anything, looking out the window at the grand scheme of
Mhm.
life and the larger world outside. Everyone else is already very self-centered and worried about what
Mhm.
they're going to do, when they can leave, what they're going to do next, those kinds of things. So it's obviously a Henry Fonda movie for Henry Fonda. I mean, it's really,
Definitely.
but when you pick up on
And
those little things, you see, oh,
he's-
wow, they really is what they're going for here.
Oh,
he's the only one wearing a white or light colored suit too.
Light color suit, yep.
I know, that was one of my observations when the film ended. I'm like, oh, he's wearing like a white, maybe it's obviously some symbolism there for standing for something, but yeah, it's quite interesting.
Yeah. I think the only other person wearing a light colored suit is the what is he? A businessman? The
Ye-
guy with glasses.
Yeah, the guy with glasses. He's more like a
Mhm.
straight shooter. He doesn't slouch. He doesn't really, he's pretty straightforward with what he believes, and he's not
Yeah.
aggressive about it either.
And he's also enjoying the back and forth too, I think.
Yeah.
And this guy's like, I'm so excited. This is my first
Yeah.
trial.
That
And
is so important.
It's so
Yes.
funny. Because I've gotten jury duty things in the mail, like you could be a potential juror and all that kind of stuff, and I'm just like, I'm the type that's like, I don't want to have somebody's life in my hands and me making the worst decision ever. I just worry about that sort of stuff. And I've known people in real life who are just like this guy, who are just like, I'm so excited
Yes.
to be on the jury.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, you do realize how it's very important to not have such naivete when you go
Yes.
on the jury. Like there's
And
a
never-
there's huge responsibility.
Yeah. And never mind the guy next to him's like, oh god.
I know.
He's like,
It's like
you
a
know,
contrast.
look at the face. He's just sagging, and he's just agitated, and he's just like, oh yeah. I think he even says, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah,
he's
almost
been on
fell
juries
asleep.
before. Like this is like, I've done this
And
a bunch
I
of
love
times.
how if you look at this, if you use subtitles, because I use subtitles just to kind of keep track of the dialogue too. But
Mhm.
they never say names. It's like juror number 4, juror
Mhm.
number 3. I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And again, we're just setting up different archetypes, right? So you got the guy who
Mhm.
does not want to be there even for a minute, where you got the other guy who's like, oh God, I hope it's a good one. I hope it's a juicy one. I hope it's something really, it's like literally like the stereotypes of what you get in these like circles of society. Like, I would never want to do jury duty unless I got a good one. The other guy's like, I couldn't get out of this. Like, you literally have all these different stereotypes. And I loved it. Held up so well
And-
this first few
Oh,
minutes.
definitely.
Lee J. Cobb says, I almost fell asleep.
Mhm. Yeah. It's a murder trial, and he's passing. He's taking
Yeah,
naps. It's like,
It shows
through the-
you. It shows you how completely self-centered some of these people are.
Mhm.
Mhm.
I mean,
Yeah.
even the guy who's enthusiastic, it's just like, you're being selfish here. You do realize
Seriously.
a kid's life is on your hands.
Well, we get that
Yeah,
in the first go around, right? Because his first response, well, why do you feel that way? Why just feel that way? Like, he's not giving this an ounce of any deep thought.
Nope.
He's just,
He's
everything is very superficial for him.
Yeah,
in the
he's
beginning.
excited to be there, but he's not participating really. He's just going along for the ride.
And how some of this jury, and especially the first time we know their first round of guilty or not guilty. We've seen this type of behavior out in society as well. So it's just,
Yeah.
Yeah, Jacob will have to jump ahead a bit. We're getting ahead of the screen, that's for sure.
Yeah, sorry.
It's fine. This is all just set up stuff of who's who
No.
and whatever. We didn't even mention poor Martin Balsam. That's how you say it? Martin Balsam, right? The guy right there, the foreman.
Yeah,
The
the
foreman.
foreman.
Yeah, dude, he's the detective in Psycho.
Yeah.
I
Oh,
love
wow,
Martin
yeah.
Balsam. Oh, I love Martin Balsam, man. Well, first off, I'm a huge Hitchcock guy, so Psycho is this big thing. But yeah, Martin Balsam. I'm like, every time I watch him, I'm always waiting for him to go into some sort of detective diatribe, and he's like, "No, I don't really want to be a part of things. You want the chair?" And I'm just like, "Oh, it's great."
Something else to point out is the smoking. Just about every
Oh, yeah.
every
Yeah.
character in it smokes.
Yeah, that was the norm back then. It was a norm when I was a kid. It was a norm when I was a kid. Like it was like, yeah.
I kind of like the way that even the jury room itself is almost its own character. The way they struggle with the windows and the fan and the bathroom, even it's kind of it's very confined. It's very confined, and it closes in on them a little bit.
Isn't that part of the metaphor for their struggle, right?
Yep.
So there's problems in the beginning. They don't know where to sit. They're this. They got a problem with the fan. They got a problem with this, whatever. And then as the film goes along, some of those things start to work themselves out, just as their deliberations are working themselves out. But they're also under the pressure and the heat. The sweat keeps pouring off of them. Those kinds of things. So there's all these little subtle metaphors that are worked in.
Yep.
That you know when you watch it, you're just like. Not always catching it the first time, but when you do, you'll be like, "Oh, wow, this is really, really smart. Really, really smart."
This is definitely smart writing and smart script in general.
This is juror number 3, I think.
That's correct.
Somebody asked him,
"Just the facts, man. Just the facts."
Do you ever sweat?
He says,
"No, I don't."
No, I don't. I was like, "Oh God, must be nice." That's the Baltimore scene where he's like, "Oh, what's your favorite?" You know, he's like, "Oh, I'm a Baltimore fan." He's like, "Baltimore, you know,
get out of here."
Like, what are you talking about? You know, but that was a good.
I love how this guy he's going to the bathroom to tell the older man that it's time to
come out.
I love how he defends the older man through the show
later on.
Yes. I definitely have my favorites in this jury room.
Well, you're supposed to.
Mm-hmm.
By design, right?
Mm-hmm. Well, especially when they come down to their own conclusions and start standing up for themselves. And I'm not going to say who until we get to that point. But because you already established they established who are the big bullies in this room too pretty well. It's really good.
Yeah, so they've figured out that he's the only one that voted not guilty. So
I mean, look at that facial expression. Like, I'm annoyed at you for delaying me from going to a baseball
go to the ball game. Darn it!
Well, I have to admit, it also again Henry Fonda film for Henry Fonda, right? So a raise the hand vote on the first vote and not a secret ballot vote would be pretty unorthodox, right? It's very arrogant of the room to have that as their technique, and the fact that he would quote raise his hand and put himself out there like that. And I know this comes up in the script later on. But that's a huge, huge deal. It's a huge metaphor for basically being the protagonist of the story.
Yeah, it's establishing that groundwork there. Yeah. And the one that, eventually wins back he's a white knight. He's wearing a white jacket. Not in a white knight in a bad sense, but more like the hero in this sense of truly convincing thoroughly the minds of the jurors.
Which, by the way, I want to constantly touch on that because I'm just like, this guy has like terrible logic in his deducing of he has his little spiel in the beginning of like, I don't want to feel, I don't think it, I just think there's reasonable doubt, whatever. But then he doesn't really have any good examples in the early vote or in the early portion of the film. Things just keep kind of coming and contrived. So it really is an example of confirmation bias. Like I have, this is what I want as my conclusion, and we're going to constantly rework it to go in that direction. So it's really not different than the people that were guilty and wanted a guilty plea. They just didn't have any of the intellectual capacity this guy had to properly evaluate the facts.
Thanks for coming by, Lisa.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah, Lisa.
Shield wall just dropped in.
Shield wall.
What's up, Shield Paul?
Hey, Shield Wall.
Yeah, but they're even asking Henry Fonda here, like, what, why? And as it goes on, he's like, I'm not saying he's not
I
guilty.
don't know.
Yeah, but he's like,
he dances around.
Yeah, but he's basically saying this is a person's life at risk here. Like, we can't just be some nonchalant about it and not talk about the facts. We have to go through step by step. And they're like, oh God, no, we're gonna be here all night, all day. And it's like, he's not wrong though. And if you think about it in the
Correct.
bigger picture.
I mean,
So
and too, they're all taking it so lightly, like it's going to get a new tie or something. Like it's
right.
Well, it's
Like
it's
I go to a
like
baseball game and I'm just inconvenienced and just
Yeah.
like it literally is. He's the only one in the room. It's like, well, can we at least have a moment of pause? Like obviously his moral compass is obviously in the right place.
Yeah, he's the only one thinking this kid's life is on the line.
Mhm.
We should talk about this.
Seriously.
Well, it's not like it's like, how can you be so flippant over a kid's life like that? I mean, I don't know about y'all, but I definitely could not act like that. It's just, it's you're literally the kid's blood is on your hands. I mean, I'm
Right.
sorry. It's like,
Yeah.
take it more seriously. And yeah.
This guy's like, these people, they're all the same.
Oh, this is what I'm talking about. He is like the typical. This is what and it's so funny the way he was talking about kids and everything. The young kids, they're always problems and all this other stuff. And I'm like, gee, I hear that all the time about my generation. Okay, it's like
he's the resident bigot.
Yeah, it's instead of he's clearly biased and clearly bigoted towards younger people, and it's I'm sure there's some I'm sure there's some sort of buildup of reasoning behind it, but at the same time it's not correct anyway, because you're not going to be able to create a bridge or be able to get rid of the gap if you're going to be talking like this.
Well, he uses demonstratives, right? So anytime they have the they and them, right? That's the red flag. Anytime somebody uses they and them, you're lumping mass numbers of people together in one stereotype. That's where the bigotry comes into play.
Yep.
Right. So sure, even if he's saying, oh yeah, they come from the wrong side of the tracks, they live in the seedy side of town, blah blah blah. Okay, fine. But that doesn't mean every single one of them is a criminal. Like, that's unfair.
Right.
And that's not even your job. That's not even your job. Justice is blind. You have to sit down and do your job, buddy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's those people's.
Yeah, he's painting with a wide brush there. It's kind of, you can't think that way, especially in a situation like this. It's case by case basis. And but his nose was running and he was on, he had a summer cold. So that's his excuse.
Was anyone else slightly distracted a little bit by Henry Fonda's hair? Like they didn't want to go widow peak, but they kind of kind of coped over to the side. Like they moved the widow peak over to the side because widow peak is like the villain role. Like it's like we don't want to look like a villain. We want to look like it. So it's like it was just, I don't know. I was distracted by his hair several times. Like, okay.
Did you notice with the older guy who was clearly a bigot towards younger people and the quote unquote those people type of situation, because he was sick, he's also sick in the head. So a lot of times it's also like a physical or visual medium for the audience to realize that he's sick, but it's not just physically sick. He's sick in the head in terms of his thinking. So it's a kind of like a flare saying, hey, this is helps you correlate this reasoning.
I want to go back to Shieldwall's comment. He talks about meeting a minority. The defendant is not a minority. He's just a poor kid on the wrong side of the tracks.
Yeah,
so that's the status bigotry. It's status bigotry, not racial bigotry.
Yeah,
right.
He's a young kid because he says all kids are liars, and then also he's from a poor neighborhood. So,
yeah, and I love that the interaction between him and that guy. They're talking about the woman with glasses.
Oh, that was great.
That was awesome.
And he says, "Why do you believe the woman with glasses? She's one of them, isn't she?"
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deconstructing their own biases and bigotry too.
Yeah.
And it makes the people who do, the ones who originally were not strong in their convictions, they start to become very strong in their convictions later. So
Oh, yeah.
it's
Yeah.
All right,
very
so for those of you who haven't seen the film or want to understand what's happening, so they do an open vote first, and juror number 8, Henry Fonda, is the only one that says not guilty. So then they come up with the idea that we're going to go around the room, and you're going to have to explain, why you think he's guilty. And the first person that goes, juror number 2, is like, well, I just kind of feel that way. The juror number 3 is like, just the facts. I just want facts. He starts reading off facts, and then you have number 4 is like alibis. So they all come up with all of these different perspectives that juror number 8 kind of has to figure out how to navigate through all of their arguments, basically.
Yeah.
Very true.
in the beginning, he says, I don't know why. He just is deep down in his gut, knows that something's not right, and he just wants
Right.
them to deliberate on it rather than
Mhm.
just be flippant. So, but it's kind of like this character arc. It's an arc. It's like you think there's not going to be too many arcs, but it's loaded with arcs in this entire movie, where even Henry Fonda is shown to really be strong in what he believes in and how he convinces the other jurors.
Yeah, and how patient he is too.
Yes.
I mean, he does get impatient with this guy and Lee J. Cobb's character, but that's after repeated them attacking him. But yeah, mostly he's very respectful and
Right.
patient.
Well, because his repeated biasness and kind of aggressive outbursts start to be bullying in nature and and just kind of a little bit on the harassment side. And so therefore he's kind of like, all right, I've had enough of this. Like, he's given enough chances. You need to put his foot down.
Right.
Yeah.
Now they're going around the room. The juror number 1, what do they call him? The foreman, right?
Mm-hmm.
He is saying, well, why don't we go around the room and we can explain what you're wrong about to Henry Fonda.
Yeah. Yeah, this part was good because you kind of, get each person, they want to go to Henry Fonda because they're like, okay, you're the one saying he's might not be guilty, so explain yourself, right? And then this is where the movie really takes off for me, because then this is where, like Mags was saying too earlier on, this is where the tension slowly starts to build. But you can't. What's so great about the screenwriting is you're hanging on every word everybody's saying, because it's so important. Everything is so important. Every piece of dialogue is so important,
and how they act and their facial expressions,
their mannerisms. Yeah, like you said, the close-up shots.
That's another thing. The body language acting is fantastic.
Yeah, it's very true. I was just talking about this yesterday on reviewing Silence of the Lambs. They do a very similar thing where every shot is up close in the face. It's almost claustrophobic in a way to make the audience very uneasy, which is the whole point.
Yep.
And you just feel your blood pressure start to rise a little bit. You kind of just squirming in your seat a little bit, only because you
feel their tension.
Yeah, 100%. It's so good. That energy just comes right off the screen and puts you right into that room. You feel like you're in this room, just sitting next to these people, and you want to scream at them. Like, listen, just listen. But I mean, that's just a testament of great filmmaking. It's what we don't see a lot of today, which is sad.
Yep.
Yeah. And he just says, "Can you skip me?
Can I abstain or something like
Yeah.
that?"
He tries to pass. He just wants to pass the first time around.
Mm-hmm.
Because we find out later, but you can clearly look at his expression on his face. He's clearly already he's even conflicted even when he came into the room. So he's still, he's still uncomfortable, and he doesn't want to, I don't want to go.
He's heard everybody bashing and bagging on the
how do you
kid,
feel
right?
in that
The criminals
regard?
kids, and he's like, "Well, I grew up in that neighborhood," but he's kept all that to himself at this point.
Yeah,
but he's already he feels the pressure of the bigotry in the room to come out and be honest about who he is.
Yep,
Right.
and bullying and the mob rule, so to speak.
Right. So this would be very relevant if you have someone, let's say they pass the system and they end up on a jury, and let's say they had a family member who may have been a victim of SA, and they happen to be in a case that maybe they didn't come clean about or something. So you have these different people that they don't want to be judged about something maybe in their past or something else. And especially back then, some of the scrutiny was not the same as it is today with the way they ask questions and treat jury selection as a science. So yeah, I think this is great. Again, all the other jurors represent different perspectives and different personality types to challenge juror number 8, basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Roman making fun of his ears.
He does have some big ears. I just noticed that.
Yeah, he does.
Hey, Roman, you look like Henry Fonda a little bit with that comb over. Oops.
Oh, that's a great
I love you,
comparison.
Roman.
It's a compliment.
Oh gosh. I mean, look at this shot. I mean, look at the because I'm not really good with names except for Henry, the well-known ones like Henry Fonda. Sports guy to the left. I mean, look how ridiculous he looks. He's leaning back. He just doesn't care. He's just like he's a goofball kind of thing. And then you see Henry Fonda, how he's leaning forward, trying to listen. I mean, with the hands, folded. You see the old guy discerning, and then you see the sick guy. I mean, I kind of made names of some of these guys so to help me remember. But sick guy is just he's clearly in his sickness. And then you have immigrant guy.
They call him the watchmaker.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
he's so sweet. I love him.
Yeah, he's good. He was great in this.
He's thinking. It's a very passive thinking, but he's thinking, he's discerning. And then you have a advertisement guy at the end there. He looks kind of silly with the pursed lips and the way his hand is. Yeah,
he's a dopey guy that goes with the wind. Like they'll come up with some idea. They say this. Okay, I'm going to vote this way. Yeah, he's kind of just goes with the wind. Yeah,
and he's constantly doodling on his sketch.
Oh gosh, that made me angry. No matter how many times I've seen this movie, I actually got angry this time at him for doing that.
Can you imagine being in a hot room with a cold?
Oh gosh.
Oh yeah. And you could see because they're all sweating as the movie goes on.
Oh yeah, like
their shirts.
I think they were wearing undershirts too.
Undershirts, yeah.
You would wear an undershirt back then. Yeah.
Yeah.
And by the way, think about the continuity department trying to keep track of what everybody looks like over the course of the 3-week shoot. And that's incredible. Yeah. Like this is just a lost art. We can't even get, decent continuity from
and this is regular street clothes, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the time, yeah.
Look how goofy he looks.
We got a baseball game to get to.
We gotta go to a game.
Well, I just think he's guilty.
Yeah. I love the hat.
I know, it's so silly. Yeah. It doesn't even match his jacket. And it's because I'm a woman. I'll look at that and be like, dude, you need help.
We're going to help you.
Roman, he's like, no, Don Draper. That's so funny. Good call, man. That's funny. All right.
Let's give a hit here.
Yep. Oh, irritated face guy.
Yeah, number 4. Number 3. Sorry, number 3.
Yeah. This guy looks like he's been defeated in life. He's just angry. Obviously, we find out why at the end, but yeah.
Embittered and projecting all of his issues.
And knowing why, too.
Yeah.
He's got anger and sadness all rolled up together.
And the actor did such a good job in this, though. It's besides Henry Fonda, this guy was I would say just for the acting alone, this guy was fantastic. He just
especially as he breaks down bit by bit over time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he's constantly looking at a picture of his son, in case people haven't seen it.
Can I say Roman is being funny in the chat?
Yeah, Roman's talking about everybody's ears.
Yeah, he says he's vexed. It vexes him that the dude is wearing a hat indoors.
Sign of the times, buddy.
Well, it's funny. Even back then, I don't think you were supposed to be doing that. So the sports guy doing that, he didn't care about authority. He only cared about himself. It was very it was a very appearance of self-centeredness.
Yeah. Deliberate. Yeah.
Anyway, sorry. I thought it was funny. Knowing Roman.
Now I'm just looking at everybody's ears.
Yeah.
So now we're going to be looking at
He's
everybody's
got
ears.
some pointy. He's
Mhm.
got some pointy.
He's got a
ears.
pointy ears there. Yeah.
Yeah, I like this part too. This guy's like bad mouthing him. You're not doing. Why aren't you shutting these people up? And he's like,
Mhm.
oh, you want to do it? You want to come over here and do it?
I know. I did like that because honestly, he had a right to kind of confront them. And I love the fact that they're like, well, don't you be mad at me. I'm like, dude, you were the one that was throwing shade at first.
Yeah.
It's like,
Mhm.
how do you expect, how do you expect somebody to react to you? Like,
Yeah.
it's like that meme picture of like,
Roman is derailing this whole streamer. He's trying
Yeah,
to one ear at a time. Listen, buddy.
all-
Listen, knock it
All I'm
off.
seeing is ears.
I know. He's looking at the guys here like, dude, what is wrong with your ear?
Yeah. Look how pointy it is.
Anyway, so it's just kind of one of those observations where it's like, okay, yeah, this is relatable too, because here's this big bully who's like pushing the limits and everything, and then it's like when you finally stand up for yourself, it's like, what are you doing harassing me about this? It's like, well, you're the one started it. So,
Yeah.
Mhm.
like, sit down.
Yeah, relax.
So all of this is just set up for everybody to understand where each juror is coming from to confront juror number 8, and then we have the first big turn is we're almost there. I think it's just a little bit more. We get to the knife.
Oh, I love the knife
Oh,
stuff.
that
That
was
was good.
great.
Well,
Yeah.
actually, the first one is the first juror that votes with him.
Yeah. The old guy.
Yeah. So
I love the old guy. I
they
want to
do
put him in my
another vote.
pocket and bring him home.
But this time it's a secret ballot. So
Mhm.
he says to him, "All right, let's do a secret ballot vote, and
They
if
talk about the old.
y'all vote guilty, I'll vote guilty, and we'll go
Mhm.
and finish it. But if
Well,
somebody votes not guilty, we'll stay and hash it out."
I think they were talking about the old guy, the first, the witness.
Yeah.
And talking about that, and then I love the expressions of the old guy in the jury room.
Mhm.
Jury room.
Yeah, there's everybody. There's the man getting angry, yelling at everybody as usual throughout the whole movie.
It's almost like man yells at cloud.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway.
And glasses man smoking, just very straight and narrow, and
Yep. Has a straight posture, and then the guy on the right, who we find out later, who grew up in the poor and poor communities and the other side of the tracks. I mean, he's obviously he looks good now, but his suit doesn't looks it's not like top of the line, not like the guy next to him. So it's kind of like
And too, the placement of the characters too.
Oh yes.
With the guy in a really nice suit and sitting next to the guy that grew up in the slums.
Mm-hmm. A lot of sweating going on.
Yeah. I wonder if it actually is hot, or if somebody's got a spray bottle.
Knowing the, I mean, I know some of them were prima donnas back in the day, but knowing people like Henry Fonda or something like that, or even like a John Wayne type, I would think that they wanted it to be immersive and real, and that they were sweating. So
it would be as authentic looking as they could get. They would care more about they cared more about the craft than they would about I don't want to look like I'm sweaty. That's not good for my image.
Yeah.
Correct.
Both the director and writer are known for their realism.
Mm-hmm.
And he Henry Fonda was the producer on this too. So
this is his baby.
This is all him. Yep.
Yeah.
He actually said at the end of it he'd never do it again.
Yeah, being a producer is such a big headache. Little do they know what they're getting themselves into. Back then, when you're a real producer, not now where they just throw names around.
Or name.
Well, back then they cared. They actually cared of what they were doing.
Yeah. And this guy keeps going out of turn.
Oh yeah.
Oh gosh, I wanted to slap him.
Well, juror 10 is always on edge because he's got the stuff he knows. Like you said, he's sick, right? He's physically
Just
sick and he's
irritable.
mentally sick. He's a bigot. So he's just like, he's so uncomfortable. He can't handle all this is going on. He can't believe someone would be fighting for justice for these people. That's how he looks at everything. He's these people, those kinds of things. So
Yep.
It's true.
He picks fights with everybody, and yeah.
He gives these dagger looks at people too. Like, how dare you talk to me?
Yeah. What
Well,
do you
it's-
mean? You know, it's just saying that all the time, and yeah.
Yeah. He can never be wrong.
Right.
Okay, they're doing a secret ballot now.
Is it the second to the last one he counts?
They
the-
kind of did two secret ballots. There was this one.
well, this is the first one. This is the
Yeah.
one where we were talking about a minute ago, where if anyone votes not guilty, they'll stay and deliberate. Otherwise, juror number 8 would acquiesce.
right.
Yeah.
And of course, juror number 9 is the one that changes because he respects the fact that juror number 8 stood out on his own. It's a move of integrity. You kind of have to respect that. Plus, juror number 8 has made a couple of like minor points questioning, you know, what if a witness could be wrong, and what if this could happen, and what if that could happen. And
I love the
juror 9 says, let's talk about it.
I love the juxtaposition too when he's talking about the old man. You know, why was he there? I saw his clothes and all this other
Right.
stuff, and you know the whole talking about not necessarily fame, but being noticed is really the key term phrase here, and it's close up on the old juror's face, juror number 9,
9.
and you can see him. It almost like it's a realization for the audience to be like, he's almost talking about himself too. So he's putting himself in that other guy and the old man as the witness shoes. Yeah.
Mhm.
And there it is, not guilty.
Yep.
Yeah.
And although he stands up.
Hands up. Yeah. Very dramatic.
Somebody actually did it.
And then he says it, and everybody in the room's like, "Oh God."
And it does
Here we
a
go.
close up of Fonda's face. And he's got this really worried look on his face until he hears not guilty, and he's like, oh.
Yeah, he's relieved at that point. Like somebody's at least thinking logically finally, and is about to, wants to listen and kind of hash it out instead of just, wanting to go see a baseball game.
And just to contrast the brilliance of a film like this with the idiocy of today, Angela Bassett just won a Golden Globe for her role in Wakanda Forever. Just so we know, just so we're clear.
That's
good. How absurd the world is. They gave. It's just so stupid. The world is so dumb. It's incredible.
Yeah, we've really gone way backwards.
I mean, when have we lost the script? I tell you,
I think we lost this. We not only lost the script, but we went off the railroad tracks and into the depths of the ocean to never be seen from again. It's like, it's just, we are far gone. I mean,
into the sewer.
It's you watch a movie like this. It's a simple movie, but it's so brilliantly done. It's so smart, and it's just, it never assumes the audience to be stupid, unlike today's movies do. So it's, I appreciate that. I mean, I love old movies and classic movies because I grew up with it. But it's like when you can rewatch this stuff and it doesn't get old. It still ages like fine wine. It gets better.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
There's more to come.
Especially comparing it, like you said, to today's movies where everything's just so dumbed down and they treat the audience like idiots.
Yeah.
Where back then you actually had to pay attention to things and little things like we were saying, the dialogue, the way the camera angles were. It's like, it's like, just let stuff blow up and put a Marvel sticker over it and we're good.
Yeah.
And for me,
they think the audience is so stupid that they actually have to put words up to tell you what's going on.
Yep. For me, this type of movie is such an eye appealing experience too, because it's this is was it 1957, so this is the era of colorized film. And the fact that they did the smart, I think they definitely did the smart choice of keeping it black and white. It
Yeah.
focuses more, it helps the audience focus more and really have that intentional,
Right.
really, really paying attention to the characters and what they're doing and all. It's not distracting at all. It's fact, it's really brilliant. And I like the fact that they chose black and white as their medium.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Just to clarify,
known-
I think the main reason they chose black and white because they did this movie on the cheap. This movie was done for a few $100,000 that Henry Fonda was probably on the hook for if it failed. So just so you know,
Yeah.
it was.
That's true.
He had ulterior motives. I am 100% certain. with
But
this
at the
project.
same time, if
It
they
works
had
brilliantly.
colorized
I
it,
agree with
yeah, if it was colorized, I don't think it would have been as successful. I mean, there's something to
Agreed.
do with the medium of the visual effect of it.
Sure.
So.
Yeah.
Psycho couldn't work if it's in color. It doesn't work if it's in color.
I've known several people that won't watch a movie because it's in black and white.
Black and white.
What? So they can't watch
Oh, yeah.
Casablanca or It's a Wonderful
Yeah,
Life
I
or The Longest Day or oh my gosh.
I mean, listen, Raging Bull is one of my favorite movies ever, and it's black and white. And at that period of time, it definitely could have been in color, but Scorsese wanted it done that specific way. And the movie was made in the 80s, early 80s, and it's still, if it's in color, it would take away a lot. So, same thing with It's a Wonderful Life.
When you meet someone that does, says that to you, you ask them, so do you understand Wizard of Oz or not?
Yeah, right.
All you do is walk away with those kind of people. I don't have any patience for that kind of person. Like you're just
like
they're
really?
it's narrow-mindedness. They don't appreciate the craft in the medium that it was. I mean, they had to work with what they had to work with, and then when it moved to colorize, and then when directors made the people behind the scenes made the choice to keep some black and white for some films. It made sense. It's just like Perry Mason, the show was done in black and white, and I think it's perfectly fits that type of genre because it's almost like a noir type show.
Yeah,
but
they're debating Raging Bull. It was released in 1980, by the way. For those of you that
that's what I thought. I knew it was.
Yeah, they're debating in the chat. Like, no, Rocky came first. Just so we're clear.
Yeah, there you go.
Another newer one was Schindler's List.
Yeah,
he did that all for dramatic effect. Same thing with Private Ryan. There's certain things that he doesn't. Things are on purpose for cinematic reasons.
And this guy's always cracking jokes too.
Well, the advertisement man. Yeah, and
he's a salesman. Yeah.
In our advertisement meetings, we have these jokes, and they have these sayings that are funny, and it's like, dude,
and nobody's laughing.
No.
Well, and plus too, maybe in some cases, sometimes people make stupid, silly jokes like that because they are uncomfortable.
100% right. Yeah, you could tell.
I mean, look how awkward he looks.
Yeah,
he does stand out. Look at the dark. He's wearing a dark jacket.
Like his mannerisms. Yeah.
He has the glass. It's funny because he's a very handsome looking guy, but then he almost hides behind his glasses a little bit too. So he has a little insecurity at the same time.
Yeah.
Anyway, just observations.
That's a good
details.
I just love this character.
Oh, I do too.
He's he's a new American. And
he takes it seriously.
Excited and takes it seriously.
For a minute, I thought you guys were talking about number 12. I was like, "What? You guys like number 12? I want to punch number 12." I'm like, "You're a nitwit, number 12. I don't want my life hanging in your hands if my life's ever in balance." Number 11, I'll go to the mats with, but not that guy. Okay, I got you. Okay, I got confused.
Pops, keep up with us.
Well, you were talking about the glasses, and then you said, "I love this guy," and I realized that Jacob had moved the mouse, but I didn't see that part. Like, what happened? I don't understand. Gotcha. I'm going to get kicked out of the club. If I remove from the stream, folks, it's because I've messed something up that bad.
You're good.
Oh, you're all good. You're good.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
I liked how I like how
he
the
smokes a pipe too.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say that. I was like, here's this like he's kind of like the baby in the group, even though he's not, because he's just so naive and he's so childlike in his enthusiasm of this. But he's
Yeah.
smoking a pipe, and it's like, okay, it's such a contrast.
And he sounds
Right.
like Piglet from Winnie the Pooh.
Oh God, yeah, he does
Yeah.
very much so.
I'm not gonna lie though. I do.
He is Piglet from Winnie the Pooh. Holy crap, he is Piglet
Oh,
from
he
Winnie
is?
the
He
Pooh.
is.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
he is.
Well, there you
Oh
go.
my-
Okay. Well, that's why.
Wow. Because I'm like, there's no way that guy's not Piglet. They don't do voices like that back then. They just use their voices. So that guy's got to be
Yeah.
Piglet, right? Yep. Sure enough. Yep. He's
Of
Piglet.
course, sure enough, he's
Wow.
Piglet.
He has a ton of, man, he was Piglet for until 2005. Holy
Wow.
cow. I did not know that. Yeah.
Wow.
So for like almost 40 years,
Hey,
dude was
Shelby.
Piglet.
Hey, Shelby.
He did a lot of work for Disney. He was in Rescuers and Robin Hood and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
He's
Oh,
got
I love
the yeah,
Rescuers.
see it.
I
man,
love
it's a
the. I
lot.
have to comment though. I do miss this sort of era of like guys dressing up. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
But
Do
I
the
mean, I
ladies
know
have
it's
to
not.
dress up if I dress up? Because I don't have a problem dressing up for work, but I don't like the fact that they don't change their dress code. That's my problem with dressing up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I work in healthcare and we're like expected to dress a certain way. But
Yeah.
ladies, I'm sorry, most of your sandals are nothing but glorified flip flops. And just
Yeah.
because you wear a quote, you're not fooling me. That's a skort. You're basically wearing shorts to work. You're not fooling me. So
Mhm.
yeah, no, not a fan of the buttoned up look. If you guys don't have to wear some sort of upgraded outfit too.
Yeah.
it's 2023. Yeah, we got to be equal here.
Yep.
Hey, they want it to be equal. I'm okay with the dress code, but you don't get to have like sandals and shorts. Basically, it's like no, that's not fair.
Yep, I agree.
I don't mind dressing up. I just it's probably like you, Pops. You have to do it every day at work. So
Well, I'm
Probably
fortunate
because
that we
it's a
have like
little
a
old.
hybrid dress code now, so it's more like they call it business casual, which means I just can't
Yeah.
wear jeans.
Yep.
So if I have a collared shirt or I wear a sweater, I'm good. As long as they leave me
Mhm.
alone. So I wear a sweater pretty much all the time now. I just look like a little old man with a sweater.
Aw. I
yeah,
would
but
say cute.
I love the way it makes you feel though when you dress up. It makes you stand up straight.
Oh yeah.
and-
Yeah, self pride. Yeah.
Yeah, you feel kind of different and elevated, and yeah.
I like this part too.
Oh, in the bathroom. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
observing everybody.
Yeah, and they're
By the
Yeah,
way,
that's-
Roman is still at it. He says, I had a uniform for
Oh.
30 years. Now I refuse to wear pants.
I can see. I can imagine.
I
Roman,
mean,
make it a shirt, bro. Make it a
I
shirt.
can see that. I could see that.
Uniformed 30 years, pants, no.
Pride is
So-
when I wear
so-
socks.
so Roman is revealing himself what he actually wears on stream.
he wears no pants and socks.
No pants and just socks.
Just socks. I'm not sure I want to be on your show anymore, Roman. You're
Yeah, I
freaking
don't
me out
know,
a little
Roman.
bit. I'm going to make you stand up backstage in the green room before I remove the
Yeah,
balloons.
just be sitting all times. That would be nice.
Yes, thank you, Stephen Ransom. Right? Leggings. They'll wear leggings and like a blouse, and they wear flip flops, and they call
Yep.
that appropriate dress code
Yeah,
for ladies.
those
And I'm
aren't
like,
pants.
hold on, wait a minute. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry, I'm derailing Jacob's train.
Jeez,
Hi,
Pop.
Pacific.
Hey, Mike. I've lost track of where we are in the movie. You're gonna have to play or catch me up because we went
Yeah,
off on 4 tangents.
He's in the,
Oh,
he's
Roman
in the
not having
bathroom.
pants.
It's in the
stuff,
bathroom.
and-
Yeah. Oh, is this
He's
where
in the
he-
bathroom.
That's right.
He's talking-
Everybody got
And
this.
the,
That's right.
the guys keep coming in saying, you're wrong, right?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah.
And he's kind of letting them speak too.
Yeah. Yeah,
Reveal
because he's
themselves.
listening. He's a good
Yeah.
listener, so he wants to hear their arguments, but they're not presenting any good arguments. They're just like, "Oh, you're wrong." Okay, well,
Yeah, all they
But I-
present is you're wrong and the guy did it.
and I think
Well, they're
is this
just
the guy.
proving- They're
Sorry,
proving
go
to
ahead,
juror number 8 that they don't think about anything. They're just
Right.
emotionally driven. They've got their mind made up. They're just like whatever. So we're just getting more of that flushed out. And then basically they're giving juror number 8 more information to know how to craft questions and pushbacks.
Well, because
Yeah.
in a way, they all have insecurities, and they can't help themselves reveal those
Right.
insecurities either.
Correct.
Good point. It's just, I think this is, yeah, this is the guy that he's talking to about supposing this and supposing that, and the guy's like, "Oh, I don't do much supposing. I leave that to my boss." But he's like, "Well, let me leave you with this though. Supposing you're wrong, and he did do it." And you get like that look through Henry Fonda, just kind of stares away, and he's like, "I get it," because it's the first time somebody actually push back, but in a way to make him think about it, not just saying, "Oh no, you're wrong." But he's just like, "Well, supposing you do go through all this, and you're still wrong." And then, from this point on, the movie really takes off.
Yeah, and he doesn't berate him for it either.
No.
It's more like a, trying to reason with him about where he stands too. So,
and it's like Henry Fonda thinks, yeah, he might have done it, but what if he didn't do it?
Mm-hmm.
It's the same. Yeah, you throw the question right back.
Yeah. Yeah, this is this is where
the usual
really
suspects here.
Yeah, just he's always facing forward, and him and Honda, when they're sitting, they're always facing forward, and presenting.
You notice all the other jurors, except the goofball in the back, is like looking at him, looking at the antagonist, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I will admit that Henry Fonda wins me over because he's the only one that cites the Constitution. He's the idealist, right? He's the only one that quotes, like, he doesn't say it, but it's like the Ben Franklin philosophy, right? It's that 100 guilty persons escape rather than like one person that's innocent suffer and go to jail. Like, it's just that idealism is so core to our system, and he's the only one that says it in this first half of the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell are the rest of these people doing there? It's like, you guys, 11 is okay and 9 is okay. The rest of you guys are pretty sketchy, to be honest.
Yeah,
I want my life being in the balance in 1957.
I love Roman saying hat guy is killing him.
Oh yeah, the hat doesn't come off, man. The hat is a metaphor. Hat is symbolism. Dude does not care when he has a hat on.
He doesn't care about authority. He cares about himself. Yeah.
Hey, I got a baseball game to go to. Come on.
Yeah, Cleveland's playing the Yankees. I gotta go. Yeah.
And two, something about being on a jury. Everybody's got something to do. Everybody's got somewhere to be.
Yeah, of course.
But when you become a juror, I mean, you have to do it.
I think they mentioned it was like $3 a day or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's probably pretty much the same today now.
Yeah. Except back then, I don't know. I'm not sure if there was any. Well, I know that like you couldn't get fired, but I'm not sure if companies back. I don't know. Somebody could correct me, but I'm not sure if companies still paid for your day to be away from the office.
The conversion says that's $31.82 today.
Like that would be
That's not your.
That's not helping me out at all. No.
Yeah. That's like barely filling up my gas.
It wouldn't even be my gas to go down there because I live so 100%. Far away from the freaking courthouse. Oh my gosh, that'd be terrible.
I mean, look at that face.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just
and
Mags and I would be good on a jury, though.
Harsh words don't bring people to your
side.
Yeah,
you catch all the little things.
We'd be like, so did you notice this guy? He just wiggled his nose like when he moved away. Like we just look at this
outfit that he's wearing. It means it's saying something. It's like,
yeah, his tie's crooked too.
He's always sloppy too.
Yeah.
It's like his soul.
Yeah. And it gets. Yep, it gets worse and worse.
That's deep.
Sometimes I have some good insight.
Deep. I like that. That's good.
Yeah,
that's deep.
I mean, back in that period, maybe.
That is his philosophy, to be honest.
Yeah.
Let's see here. I'd be curious, but.
Okay. Just this guy and the guy with the runny nose, the faces they spit at people. Hello.
Oh, yep.
Surprised they didn't drop a line about the Yankees, like, Whitey Ford's pitching today.
Something. Yeah, like give names, examples of players.
Where are we at on number 9? Which part is this?
Well, I think this is where
But it's
he
Mickey.
starts to kind of take his. He already said not guilty, but
Mhm.
this is where I think he truly takes a stance, and he just doesn't waver. And I love him for it. So
Look at what Steven says here.
that's funny.
Yeah.
Steven, were you harassed? I mean, I'm just asking for a friend, making sure.
I
lot of
will
rumors.
say this. I will say this. I can understand why juror number 7 was upset because the 1957 Yankees had Yogi Berra and Mickey Mantle on there.
Oh wow, yeah,
Yeah,
they were
and Whitey Ford.
Whitey
Yeah.
Ford. They
Billy
were a
Martin.
juggernaut.
That team,
Mhm.
yeah. Hey, Mrs.
But-
Martin.
Hello. Look at that shot. That's a great shot.
Yeah, great camera work here.
Yeah, is this when he's talking about the old fella that people don't
Yes.
listen to him and
He's not noticed, and the camera kind of pans up to him, and his face almost looks like he's feeling his words. So
Yeah.
it's a really neat, and he's showing the details of what he observed of like the tear on his coat and all this other stuff. So yeah, it's really neat.
and this guy says, "What do you know about it?"
Yeah,
I know he's an old guy. Excuse me. Respect. You talk about being disrespectful to younger generations and people from wherever they're from. You're not even respectful to your elders. Like
Nope.
what?
Oh no.
Yeah.
Oh no. Part of
And,
my
Lee
hate is
Cobb
I'm too old. I'm just an old cranky guy. So, I'm not even old as this guy.
So it's
Get that
almost
already.
well, it's almost like the sick guy. He's
Hey, Taman.
Lucas. This sick guy is
He does have a little Biden look about him right now,
he
doesn't he?
does.
yeah.
Just needs an ice cream
yeah.
cone.
That's what the guy next to that's what number 10 is saying. You look like Joe.
You look like Joe. How's your Rocky Road ice cream, Joe?
Number 11's going, yeah, he does.
Come on, man.
Come on, man.
12's
would say-
going, who's Joe? I'll tell you about Joe. Oh, sorry.
And in this where he says, "I changed my vote."
Yeah.
Yep.
Because he realizes how they were so prejudiced towards those who were from the slums, and he's like, "I was there." And this is where he says, "I was there."
Yeah, I was born in the slums. I played in backyards that were full of trash. Maybe you can still smell it on me.
And his payoffs in some of the scenes too, especially with the knife, like, is really great.
Yeah.
And isn't the guy on the right? He's like a construction dude or something like that. I
Yeah.
can't-
I thought it was like yeah.
I'm going to derail again. I'm sorry. What is it? Go back. Well, you can't go back. Just so the guy that was next to Jack Klugman, is that dude from Death of the Salesman? Was that guy?
The
in Death-
one right
Sorry.
to the
Chat, help me out. Was that guy so juror number 6, was he in Death of the Salesman? Why don't you look it up?
the construction dude?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't have it open, so I don't want to open it again. I got enough tabs open from before. I got something downloaded. I don't want to open any more tabs to look, but someone else with tab, look it up.
Yeah, I've got
Let's
it.
see.
I think I have it open.
Yeah, number 6. I love number 11. This is when 11 starts to really grow on you too, when he starts to speak and really start to explain his
Yeah.
thought
Mhm.
process.
And
on
he's
things.
at first he's a little deliberately slow because he's trying to, because he's an immigrant, there's a language barrier there, but he's so proud of being in America. Gee, I
Mhm.
wish we had that kind of pride again, but it's just,
Yeah.
it's my opinion. But yeah, I love his speech. He stands up and he's very sure of himself. And yeah, anyway, go ahead,
What
Pops.
year was that movie, Pops?
1951 was it?
Death of the Salesman?
Yeah, right.
Oh boy. Yeah, I don't know. I would be speaking way out of turn.
So-
I know he's in
So
juror number 6. I know is in North by Northwest. I don't know if he was
It's
in something else.
Edward Benz is the name of is a character.
Oh, that's
not
yeah.
not the character, the actor,
Actor,
Edward
yeah.
Binns.
That's
Yeah.
a different person then. Okay.
He was in North by Northwest, so you're correct. Judgment at Nuremberg, Fail Safe, which is another good movie. The Americanization of Emily, Patton, and The Verdict.
Wow.
Well,
Patton. Yeah, what a great film. Oh,
Oh
man.
gosh, I
yeah,
love Patton.
Trial at Nuremberg is really good too.
So anyway, go ahead. Sorry.
Blowing his nose again. Just pointing that out. Okay.
That face.
Yeah, he barely makes any faces.
And look at this contrast though, because look how clean cut and straight he is on the right, and then here's like sloppy McJoe over here.
Well, he's emotionally driven. Like he only drives on emotion, whereas Mr. Fat Guy has no emotion, never sweats, completely buttoned up, never ever phased until the end where he breaks. Like when they break him.
Yeah.
Once he breaks, then it becomes a mess. But
Mhm.
yeah, very, very good.
Especially with his glasses.
again.
You notice that? The very thing that they're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes. Frederick March was awesome. Thanks, guys.
We passed the part with the knives.
Yeah, we zipped past the knife. The knife was so good because it's like you really don't see it coming. And then when he plays it up and basically he gets the guy to talk himself out of his own argument.
Well,
Right.
he has the knife in his an extra knife that he bought.
Mhm.
Right. He could just get a knife anywhere for like $6. He's like, oh, what does that prove? It's like, that proves everything. Like the whole point is you can get knives are a dime a dozen. It can't be the kid is not the only one with a switchblade in that neighborhood. You get
You know, it's
get a
really
knife
funny.
anywhere.
Did you guys pick up the fact that switchblades were illegal in the state?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm just gonna play little bits at a time here.
Yeah, do it like 5-6 seconds or something like that.
And I love how he's pointing the knife at him, you know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And look how unfazed Henry Fonda is, and looking straight in the eyes, and then looks at the
Yeah.
knife. You know, it's just
Mhm.
he's not intimidated.
Not at all.
Yeah, it was a really, really, really good scene.
I've actually looked for replicas of that knife. Have not found any.
It's actually a really cool looking knife. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, it is.
Prop department probably made them.
Yeah, because it looks pretty like a solid knife too. So
Yeah. This is great.
because he's about ready to stand up here, right? With the knife, the extra knife in the pocket.
I think this kind of shows this guy's underlying attitude, because who's going to stick a knife into a hardwood table like that?
Right.
Yeah, it's very what do you want to call it? Not really matter of fact. It's very and not definitive. It's something to do with like an exclamation point at the end of a sentence, like very done, like very
Mhm.
like yeah. Anyway, I don't know how else there's a right word for it, and I'm probably sure somebody will say it in the chat, but it's very
We're supposed to be very domineering by this move, right? I'm an authority, and I have my facts, and this is the truth, and this is whatever. There's this one knife, and look at the
how
details
cool
in this
that
knife.
is.
There can't be any other knives just like this. And then juror number 8 stands up and pulls out the trump card.
Just had a knife. Yep.
Yep, and totally
Yeah, and I was thinking
subverts that expectation.
I was thinking when they were saying that, even the guy who sold it had never seen it before. He's probably got a box of them in the back room.
Yeah,
Right.
he doesn't want, it's because he's selling these things in a state that's they're illegal in, by the way. You think he would want to confess to saying that he has more in the back? No. So
But basically, long and short of this, he pulls out the other knife. He says, well, maybe there's 10 knives like this. What does that prove? I'm like, that proves everything.
yeah, it doesn't matter where you go. Also, that knife, I'm sorry, that looks so cool, the dragon. Now it makes me want to look it up.
All right.
So shiny.
We'll have to catch back up to where we were.
Oh. Let's see here. I guess we're going.
Did we lose Jacob?
Yeah, it looks like it. But let's see here. So I love the fact that when he pulls it out and like everyone's like, you know,
Yep.
it shocks them, and of course they're so taken aback by it. They can't believe it. And
Sorry
you're right.
about that, guys. I'm back.
It's okay. But yeah, it's a cool shocker moment too, because it really fits into Henry Fonda's character, and because we already know from the very first minute he's an observant and very thoughtful kind of guy, thought-provoking kind of guy. Obviously, he has thought about this entire trial. I mean, the first scene we see him in is on the in the actual courtroom with the thinking face, the thinking guy face. So it's just
And again, all the symbolism, right? So it's like it's the weapon, it's the elements of dangers being dismissed. It's one of the first arguments that seems like it would be very, very sound, and he dismisses it like nothing, just like butter, throw it away, nothing. Kind of scares you what the court system was like in the 1950s. Like, oh crap, that was literally like you were hinging on that. Like, this is like a knife that you could get anywhere.
That's why I think this movie is important for stuff like this. Like, just like highlight that
awareness.
If you have reasonable doubt, then it needs to be dismissed.
And he even mentions that. It talks about the public defender defending the kid, basically, and how he just.
Oh, I love that little detail.
Yeah, he didn't care, basically.
You can get crappy. You can get a crappy public defender. You don't get a real good attorney. Like, you can't hold that. You can't say that's the kid. That's not fair. Go ahead.
Right.
Yeah. And this is when he stands up.
I like the public defender.
Stands up. He reaches in, throws out a knife, slams in the door. Look at that.
And he did the same move too, the same exclamation point, just to kind of make it,
I equal you.
Yep.
Look at that. Argument debunked.
Yep.
And then Lee J. Cobb's character says, "What does that prove?"
No, he says more specific. I wrote it down. He says, maybe there's 10 knives like that. So what? What's that prove? I'm like, that proves everything. Yes.
Yeah.
The knife is a dime a dozen. The knife doesn't matter. You got to take that off.
And you know, everything he brings up to them gives doubt to whether he did it or not.
Right. What I love about it too is that the whole point of the prosecution with this knife is that it's a unique knife, and therefore the kid sought it out. Blah blah blah. Obviously, it's not unique if he found another one just like it.
Yeah.
Without any problem for low dollars. It's only like $6. Right.
Yeah. So it's like, okay.
We were pretty far, Jake. We were close to almost the hour. We were close to almost the halfway mark.
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Yeah. You're good.
There we go. Okay.
There's just so much to unpack in this movie too.
Well, each round of evidence and each round of pushbacks is its own little subplot, its own little moment. And we got to work through each juror that sets up another vote. And each vote changes the dynamic, and you just kind of keep chipping away at the numbers and stuff.
What I love too is that each juror, it's not, the jurors don't, some jurors get to be like the side characters. Each juror gets their moment. I love that. And in a this many people, that's pretty difficult to do, to share that kind of dialogue, but it flows so beautifully. It's great.
Yeah, they do a great job.
Also, I love that part after he takes that other knife out. It's like they've planned ahead. Now this character takes this spot, and everybody runs to the to get in the frame.
Right.
That was a neat shot.
I love the immigrant's passionate speech, holding on to his convictions of this is, although it's funny when they say this is a democracy, and my political science major goes, no, it's a constitutional republic. But anyway, representative republic. But that's beside the point. But I love his speech. How he's like this. These are the beliefs that I believe in. And obviously, I mean, it speaks volumes and depths of what his character is. Like you can imagine using your own imagination. You don't need the entire backstory of him. You just can use your imagination and think maybe he came from an oppressed country, and that's why these words, this meaning of guilt, innocent until proven guilty, is so powerful to him. So
at the time, I mean, I don't know what you don't even know what country he's from.
Yeah,
but you can imagine Italy or Spain, and what had just
it was it's the post World War II era.
10 years ago.
Yeah,
and Mussolini and Franco.
Yep.
Francisco Franco is still dead. Yeah. So this is the part where he's trying to isn't it the part where he's trying to discuss like, well, why would the kid go back only 3 hours after the murder?
Right.
Like, why would he do all of that? Right. And number 4, like, oh, he's guilty. He had to get the knife. And it's like all this about the knife. And it's like, well, what about the scream? And so it's all about establishing reasonable doubt. Like, it's this constant move toward, are we really sure? Are we really sure? I really love that. And I love the fact that we always move towards another vote where someone else is like
changing their mind. Yeah.
They're getting wishy-washy yet. Yes.
I love how each character too gets to showcase their skill and their points and their belief system without it being. It's not aggressive. It's just like the guy who grew up in the slums showed how to properly use the knife, the switchblade, instead of going from above over your head. It would be because the way the switchblade is designed, you would have gone up, to knife the guy. So you wouldn't change positions on your knife. It would take too long. Yeah. So it's just, I thought that was really, really cool to showcase
I think that's
their experience, their life experiences and everything. Yeah. I'm sorry.
I love how he takes the knife and says, with kind of a grin on his face, I hate these things. he grew up, watching knife fights, and knife fights are not a pretty thing to witness.
I think they can get really bad.
Yeah.
One swipe on the correct area of your body and you're done.
Yeah.
And you don't even know it until it's too late.
Yeah, those glasses don't even fit his face very well either.
He looks like he just hides behind them sometimes. That's my that's my headcanon on that.
Yeah.
Like he's so jokestery that he's insecure with himself. I don't know.
Yeah.
But then I love it too. Here's the immigrant and he's talking to him, and he just seems so the immigrant seems so very sure of himself and very confident and standing up. It's just, I don't know. There's so much symbolism and eye candy in here. I'm sorry. I just got
No, it's true.
I love it.
Yeah, me too. Man, he's at him again.
Look at the old guy. Look at the old guy in his face looking at the sick dude. It's just like, he just can't believe what he's saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, this guy's crazy.
I mean, look how his hair is too. It's very like disheveled. I mean, I know it's not much, but it's very disheveled and not, it doesn't even look combed or anything.
Yeah. And he's the
foreman.
Foreman is leaning back, leaning away from him, like, whoa.
Yeah, like enough,
out of
buddy.
my face.
Step back.
And even the ad guy is getting he's
frustrated.
Hiding. Yeah, frustrated and hiding a little bit there because he's just,
People are just tired of hearing him talk at this point. Like, it's enough. You're just repeating the same thing over and over again.
And clearly you're not right in the head.
Obviously.
And then here's Mr. Baseball. Got to wear that hat.
Yeah, wearing the hat. Good little quick jokes here and there, and he's complaining.
Button in the shirt. He's just a mess.
He hides behind his jokes.
It's funny on that face frame. He kind of looks like Bono.
He also hides under that. He hides under that hat too, because he never takes it off. And I would think if it's
bald, so.
Well, but if it's hot, you would take off your hat.
Yeah.
I don't know. He refuses. It's like a symbol.
Yeah, and those hats have those bands. You get sweaty around there and it gets itchy.
Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah, I remember. Can't think what's going on right here.
Mm.
But something too. We probably passed it already, but the
We talk about the L train or L, yeah.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But this guy, Lee J. Cobb's character is, blasting the old man, and he gets up. You don't talk to an old man like that. If you don't lay off, I'm gonna lay you out, or something like that.
I love that. Like he's had enough and he's like, wait a minute.
Yeah,
You kind of need that kind of character to kind of be
yeah,
like, I know how to take a hit and throw one right back.
yeah.
You can't be a bully. Yep. I love the
Yeah.
discussion of the L train scene too. Is this might be where they're talking about that maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Talking about 10 seconds and did
Yeah.
the woman see it and
Mm-hmm.
and it's loud, and then the construction worker guy is like, yeah, I've worked around those things all the time and they're loud, like,
Oh yeah.
yeah.
And then he says that he lived in an apartment by the L track, and you couldn't hear anything.
I'd believe it.
It is true. I used to live by one, but when I lived in Brooklyn as a young kid, you cannot. It was about a block away, but you literally are standing next to it, or if you're near it, you could scream at the person in the room with you. You'll never hear anything until it passes. So it's very realistic.
Yeah, and I love how and right after that, I think they talk about the old man that
Oh, with the stroke, he had a stroke in the leg,
yeah,
the bad leg,
he
yeah.
drag his leg. And
That was really cool.
Move
I
it
love
forward
how
a little,
the-
Brandon, so
the,
Jacob, so we can see where we're at. I'm not quite sure if you move it forward so we can know where we're at.
Okay.
No, I just meant drag it. You don't have to play it. I don't want to get you a copyright flag for something.
Okay.
Yeah,
no,
this is that part.
there's
Yeah,
the-
this is the old guy part.
Yeah,
this is where
this is great.
So
and
the
I
premise
love
is
how-
the one witness has the bum leg, and he allegedly got up within 15 seconds and ran out to the hallway and saw the little guy running down the stairwell. So juror 8's like, well, how about we recreate that? And they kind of like get the drawing and lay out this little plan and drag a leg. So
to quickly go back to the juror 9 saying that he noticed that the old man's jacket was torn, and it looks like somebody he looks like he lives alone, and thought that
somebody
was
just wants to be noticed, and somebody wants to be somebody, not
Yeah. Oh, he's had a stroke, or he had a stroke last year, so he's been dealing with that, and it's in a really bad apartment, and what was it? They noted that he had to be helped to the box,
onto the juror seat,
the witness box. So it's just it's
it doesn't add up. Something's wrong.
yeah. He had a limp, and
So this is a sequence here that starts where they try to play all that out.
Mm-hmm.
and they've had the diagram of the apartment brought in, and
which is a very interesting apartment look, but
yeah.
but I guess I don't know
Yeah.
what apartments looked like back then, so it might be believable.
I wish I could play this scene, but he's counting. I love how. What are you waiting for? Start. And he's
Just
like,
go.
I'm waiting until it gets to 60.
Which is not. It's not. I love how he's getting into it too, but it's like, which is not a bad thing. You want to start it
No.
on a fresh,
Yeah.
fresh part of your clock. Although kids can't read face watches anymore. So anyway,
That's a good point.
One thing I even thought of that they probably could have added, but I think the movie was brilliant anyway, is that if the old man was coming, waking up from his bed, you wouldn't be right awake. You could just be groggy at first. So that's like at least a 2 or 3 second delay. So
And two, you when you are woken up by a noise or something, you sit there and listen for a little bit. What was that
yeah,
noise?
like what was that? You know, you
Yeah.
don't get up immediately to check it out. You kind of
And
wait for another
especially
noise.
especially you're somewhat crippled and you think, do I really want to get up?
Yeah.
Yeah, and this guy, he tells him to stomp.
Yeah.
That's when the body fell. So,
Yeah.
and
Well, and
two,
all of this just I was gonna say, just all this just
and
proves
the
that the
train and
lawyer was terrible, right? Because the lawyer didn't do
Yeah.
any of this work that juror number 8's doing.
yeah,
Right.
and the train and the body falling all at the same time. You really think the old man's going to get up because he wakes up and he hears the train? You know, what probably woke him up was the woman screaming.
Yeah. I mean, it's I don't know. Like I have sometimes I get woken up from noises or whatever because, you know, I have a cat. Sometimes she likes to wake me up for random things, but it's kind of like I don't immediately jump out of bed for like the first sound of noise that I hear. Like you're right, Jacob. You wait to hear if you hear another noise of the same type or whatever.
Yeah.
Then you wake up and get out of bed. I mean, sometimes it could be noises that just are random noises of the night.
I just wanted to show a little bit of that.
Yeah.
And somebody says, "Oh, he could walk twice as fast as that," so he speeds up, goes even faster.
Henry Fonda's ableism. We got it.
Yeah. How dare you?
And obviously the time comes in like at 41 seconds, so it's nowhere close to the 15 seconds that the old man just was so certain that he heard and saw, and it just, again, shadow of the doubt. Does everything have any reasonable doubt?
I like how he did the motions of unlocking and opening the door too,
Mhm.
because that takes at least 1 or 2 seconds. You know, it's seconds off the clock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every little detail matters so
Yeah.
much, and so yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, look at the advertisement guy's face.
Yeah, see how stern his face is. He's like, "We got you." You know.
The Lee J. Cobb character. He's
And then the guy behind him is like, "Oh my god."
He's
like
staring. He's
Whoopi
staring at
Man in
him.
the
Yeah.
chair.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
It's a great
this
scene.
guy's face is like,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
he's
perfect.
right. I think this scene, he's calls him a sadist
Oh
because he
yeah.
wants to get this kid on the electric chair.
Oh, I
And he
love it.
tries
I love
to
it.
attack him. I'll
Yeah.
kill you.
He really
It
pushed
says
his
that.
buttons here.
When he says when he says "I will kill you," he's like, "Do you really mean that?" It's a callback to the earlier line about you sometimes you can say things when you're angry, the heat of the moment, and that kind of thing. 'Cause they were trying to pin that on the kid because the kid had said that to the dad. Again, that's part of quote motive, which was part of one of the jurors' pushbacks.
I'll kill you. You know, he's you don't really mean you'll kill me. You know, that kind of.
And I think right after this scene is when it starts pouring down rain, and it's like got this really intense scene, and it's like the rain comes in and washes it out.
Well, this is also when the vote, I think, gets tied, right? When they vote again, isn't it? Okay, we have a major shift.
Yeah, and then I love how the change in lighting too.
Mm-hmm. Well, then like the rain comes in later too. It's the depths of the shades of black and white is just and grays are just this is you needed this black and white. I'm sorry, color would have ruined
Oh,
it.
it was perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like how it starts raining around the time where it's kind of washing away some of their ignorance. like the perfect time where they're starting to change their minds a little bit, and it's cleansing almost of
the tempers are no longer. It's kind of like
break.
a
One thing about the if it was in color, I would be curious to see what this guy's jacket and hat colors were.
I'm gonna go with a red hat because that's just the way I see his personality. Something very like a loud color, just very boisterous.
Yeah. Team colors, you know.
Yeah.
I think this is when they're talking about the movies. The kid went to see movies or something. Maybe not. But that scene too where he's sorry. I won't be able to get that again. But the immigrant, it looks like he's got light shining on him. Or it's funny. Smoking
The
again.
sweat's just pouring off of them, though. It's great.
Yeah. I think that there's still a break, I think, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, at this point.
Yeah, they're taking a few minute break because they were debating the 7 o'clock thing, right? So then it's like because we have to have the rain. Once you get past the rain, then it shifts back to number 4. And we have the great alibi debate.
Yes.
I love this scene too. He's talking about the baseball game that he was at, and it was pouring down rain.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you get a little depth of his character too.
Oh yeah,
He's almost reflecting, and you know, it's a hard way to describe it, but he's almost loosening up a little bit too, and kind of leaning in the favor. Yeah.
He's giving us a metaphor, right? Because he's a football coach. So he's saying, okay, everything was going our way, right? The players were doing this. The offensive line was doing this. The game was going our way. Then suddenly the rain came, and then it took it all away. It changed everything. So it's like, I think this whole case was going a certain way. The jury was going a certain way. Now the rain's come. We're all tied up. This thing is twisting in a completely different direction.
Yeah.
So the subtext and the allegory that the writer went for here is it's truly wonderful.
Mm-hmm. I like too that once it starts raining, they shut all the windows.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So steam doesn't get in the room. Moisture doesn't get in there because it would just make it even hotter.
I think it's just when they figure out how to turn the fan on as well, not long after, or just
it's because the fan was tied to the light switch.
Yeah. That made the baseball guy very happy.
Yeah, it's great too. They're annoyed by his constant baseball stuff, and they are glad that the fan's finally on, but they're like don't want to show it.
Well, he acts like an immature kid. He's throwing like crumpled up paper at the fan, and it's flying all over the place. And the old guy's like, "That could hurt somebody, or something." Like he said something very like, kind of in a commanding and firm way, but more like, "You're being ridiculous." And it really, he really, this is a scene. He's just being silly and stupid, and it's like, this is important. A kid's life is on your hands, and
right.
I love how
go ahead.
He's wadding up paper and throwing it back, and it bounces off and hits the old man. He's like, "That's a damn fool thing to do."
Yep. Yeah. And it really, he puts him in his place a little bit. Like, hey, stop.
Yeah.
Like no, it's kind of like knowing where you are and being aware of your surroundings and just like reading the room too. It's like he has no way of, he doesn't care, and he's very self-centered. It's
Oh, come on. I'm gonna get kicked if I
You're good.
Come on, get up and check the fan. What's with this fan?
No, look at the fan. Oh my gosh.
He's so proud of himself. It's the most accomplished he's been all day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Turn the
that's probably
fan
been the
off.
most focused he's been all day.
Yeah.
So funny.
This is where we get to the alibi transition.
Yeah, I love this. I love this. He's like, I just got carried away there. He was
Oh
pushing
yes,
my
I love this
buttons.
one.
And this guy says, it sure worked, didn't it?
And the thing is, too, you can already tell, like, straight and narrow guy and emotionally imbalanced guy here. He, I'm sorry, I'm not really good with like pinpointing, so I have to make up character names in my head. But it's funny how the guy on the right is trying to create like an ally move to the straight and arrow guy, and even the straight arrow guy is like, I don't want to have anything to do with you because I know you're just like you're a hot case. Like you'll just flip out over anything, and you're not stable.
Yeah. His calm, collected.
He's a little bit more reasonable, even though it's like, come on, guy, turn, say not guilty, but like you still like him as a character because you understand his reasonableness and all of this. So
I mean, I like all the characters, even the ones you dislike, because they're
That's a
so
good point.
good. They're so good.
Yeah, they're
and
just
well
so good at
thought
what they
out.
do. Mm-hmm.
I think this is
is this the point? Yeah.
We pinned him down on the alibi, right? Because he's like, "What is your big hang up, man? You said it was about the alibi. Let's go back to the alibi for a minute."
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Starts going through
the
whole.
tickets and everything. Yep.
Right.
Yeah. It's so good too because he forces him to use his brain, and then he goes, and you weren't under emotional stress or whatever. Whatever the phrasing was.
Right. Yeah. Because he was like, what did you do yesterday? What did you do the day before that? Oh, you went to this movie. Really? What movie did you see? What was the undercard? Right. Who was in that? And he can't remember. Like he just eventually, and by the way, you weren't under any emotional stress and you couldn't remember.
Yeah.
Imagine this poor kid.
Yeah. Getting beat up and
His dad.
Yeah,
dead.
I love that. I love that scene too.
oh, that too. Yeah.
Where he was slapped. He says his father slapped him several times, and somebody said, "No, I think he was hitting him. He was punching him." And then this guy says, when it hit his son several times." I like the wordplay there.
Yeah.
And too, the recollecting of memories too, the acting on that too. He's like thinking, now what was that movie?
Hey, here's this
Very-
immovable guy with like basically barely any facial expressions, but his acting is superb in that you believe what he's showing you on his face. It's just
Oh,
it's
yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
Later, Shieldwall.
Bye, Shieldwall.
See you, buddy.
Later, my friend.
And that's perfect. That's right when he says, "And you weren't under any emotional stress."
Mm-hmm. That's when you start seeing a little bit of break in the other guy's exterior a little bit.
Yeah, number 4 cracks over this.
Oh yeah.
And he starts to think and ask questions too.
Yeah, reasonable doubt's definitely taking him over at this point where he's actually like asking questions and saying different things. It's really fascinating.
Yeah.
Instead of acting very naive and excitable about everything, he's actually grown to being, he questions things, and he's calmer, and he's you can see a little bit more more maturity in the way he's acting too.
It's true.
He's like the perfect sidekick character. They can't do the puzzle on his own, but once you get a few pieces, like I can see what you're doing here now. I see what's going on.
Right.
He catches
He gets
it,
excited.
right.
He's getting excited. It's like I see this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this part too.
Mm-hmm.
After he said, "I'll kill you."
And it's so funny how all the jurors are like, "Oh, what is he gonna do?"
Yeah, and here comes the knife scene. The other guy explaining how to use those knives.
Yeah, Jack Klugman comes in. Yeah, number 5.
Just a little. Just go forward a little. There we go. Perfect.
Oh yeah, this is where they demonstrate the knife scene. I thought it was earlier, but I got my scenes mixed up. Sorry. And then look at
you see him holding the knife too, the right way. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it was just saying and look how confident he is in speaking for himself and having, just because he has his experience, his past life experience, it's not something to be ashamed about. He can use that as value in this conversation.
Right.
Yeah, it's extremely important, obviously, because he's trying to tell them, I grew up with these things and it's made this certain way to open like this, and you would never stab down on, it was a really good scene. Comes out of his shell here a little bit, and it was probably, very important to how this finishes, because you still got the guy who's wanting him guilty kind of arguing with him still, like, how do you know? You weren't there. And he's like, well, nobody was there. That's the whole point.
Right.
I'm just telling you what I know from my life experience of why these were made.
Yeah.
Oh, there we go. This scene drove me crazy.
Yeah, he was actually kind of, he almost needed to be slapped silly.
Yeah, it's like Pop said before, he's not presenting any argument, nothing of value. He's just going with the flow, because everybody else is starting to turn. He sees a means to an end here, right? So he can finally get done with this, and he's like, oh yeah, I just think he's guilty. I don't have to explain myself. And the guy's like,
I think
you do.
Isn't the immigrant guy? He stands up and he challenges him and says,
"Yeah, that's not an
why?
answer."
Yeah, that's not a good answer.
Yeah, I think it's even worse than that, Cannoli, because I think it's a cowardice move here. This is more like the coward move and the selfish. I just want to be over with this. I don't want to actually have the blood on my hands of making any decision that matters.
Yep.
Compared to the architect guy, because there's a vote that comes up here in a minute where they switch and he switches back and then he switches back again. He's the guy who's got his finger in the wind of how things are. This guy is just a complete coward, completely narcissistic about, I want to go to my ball game. I'm okay with doing this as long as nothing actually has any real meaning that could implicate me.
And not only that, but if you look at it this way, not everyone's redeemable. Some people are just, they are who they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very true.
Well, I think he breaks once number 11 confronts him. Number 11's like, no, you can't do this with somebody's life at stake. Have the guts to at least make a vote. If you think he's guilty, then say he's guilty. If you think he's not guilty, then vote that way. You have to at least have the cojones to vote the appropriate way. You can't just be on the fences. This is not the job for being a fence sitter, my friend.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true.
And that's the thing too with our society today. We have a bunch of fence sitters.
Oh gosh, yes. We're not talking about middle of the road people. We're talking about people who actually sit on the fence and they do nothing. They only care about themselves.
Yeah. He's throwing the paper into the fan and it hits the guy in the head. He's like, that was pretty stupid. Poor old man.
Doing another vote.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's a 9
it's a slow
with
one.
this.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the ad guy.
Yeah,
I do like the fact that he's challenged. He's his moral compass is, or at least his morality is being challenged, and you know, he's being human here too when he waffles. So it's just, yeah, it's really good.
Yeah.
Well, this is one, and this is right after this because now we're at 9. This is when the trigger breaks for number 10. He goes on a they and them rant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They all kind of
And
turn
then
their
it's-
back
and then it's-
on him. And,
That is so cool. I wish we sure wish we did this today.
And it's such a powerful moment.
Yeah.
Even
Here we go.
even the emotional guy, he gets up and walks away because he's
Mhm.
he's disgusted. So it's just, yeah,
Yep.
it's a truly powerful moment.
great scene. Yeah. It breaks him.
We-
Just finally breaks him down after.
We need
you know-
more of this in society, don't we?
Oh yeah.
Just stand up and say no.
And it doesn't have to be men. It could be both men and women. Just stand up
Mhm.
and walk away. Don't
Walk
listen
away.
to this. Yeah.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
say no. I'm not participating with
Even-
this. I don't want any part
Even
of
the
it.
people that throw out you're a racist to stop conversation, turn
Yeah.
your back on those people.
Yeah.
And they do it silently. They don't talk back. They let him
Yeah.
speak. They
No
let-
arguing.
No, they don't even shut down his own voice.
Mm-mm.
They just let him reveal himself. So
Yeah.
this is the correct way to deal with this.
Yeah. 100%.
Basically, they silence him.
Yeah.
There's no one to talk to. They just basically just abandoned him.
Mm-hmm.
And then it was like, nope, you sit down and be quiet. You're done.
Yep.
So
You're done. We're done with you.
And this guy's like looking at him like, yeah, he's hanging himself.
Yep.
Yeah.
hey, Jacob, we're coming up on the 2-hour mark, and I'm gonna have to bow out. I'm sorry. It's getting a little late for me. So
Sorry about
no, it's okay. You guys can carry on without me. I just let you guys know that that I have to kind of jump out here because I got to take a nap before I get back to work.
That's right.
But yeah, no, I love this. I love the way it just continues to progress and escalate, and really so that it could build towards, the diehards. Because when you're watching this, especially for the first time, you're kind of left. Well, I mean, this is all well and good, but you have two people who are not going to break. What is going to break them? In reality,
Yeah.
is just to watch how this plays out, figuring
Mhm.
out how that will actually happen is just absolutely brilliant. It really, really is. And they use extreme close-ups and a faster and faster editing cut style to make it work. I think it's great. Truly tremendous film, and should be a must-see for film school students, especially people who are interested in making a low-budget project. This is
agree.
a
Yep.
Definitely.
master class.
Oh, yeah.
All right, that's my last words. I'll bail out. Thanks again, everybody, and thanks for chat. Thanks
Yeah.
for you guys, Cannoli, Mags. I will talk
Yeah.
to you tomorrow.
Oh yeah. I'll see you tomorrow, Pops.
All right, you
Yeah,
guys
thanks
take
for
care.
coming
Thanks
on,
again,
Pops.
Jacob. Absolutely,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, Pops.
Take care, Pops.
Yep. See you later, Pops.
And then there were 3.
Yeah, this is the part where there's one left. I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good because it's like you don't really know the entire backstory of his character as well, but you can. The thing is, it showed and not told. It didn't
Right.
like exposition dump. It's just it lets the audience have an imagination of what might have happened.
Right.
Right.
It treats the audience as if we're adults.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. No hand holding here.
Nope. Because the whole point is is there a reasonable doubt? And if there's reasonable doubt, they can't convict him to go. I think because he was gonna go to the
Get
chair.
the-
That's what they said. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, and there's so many mixed emotions about it too. He's angry. He's at his son. He's sad about his son, but he's also, you're willing to send a possibly innocent kid to his death.
Yeah. Even when he talks about his son earlier in the movie, I think midway through when he's talking about, hey, here's my son, and I taught, he ran away from a fight when he was young, and I taught him to be a man, and
He
So
was
it's set-
disappointed. The way he kind of described
Yeah.
that thing, it was like he was disappointed that he was his son in that
right,
regard.
right, and then his son had a fight with him and hit him when he was 16, and then obviously he said he hasn't seen him in a few years, and
Yeah.
so it sets that seed early on, and then obviously, he's holding a lot of resentment there, and that's why he just can't let go until the very end.
Mm-hmm.
and all their looks on their face, they're all, just letting him talk.
Mhm.
And all the looks on their faces are like pity and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, Henry Fonda's asking him, we want to hear, like basically calling him out, like, we want to hear your arguments, like reversing now, because they said that to Henry Fonda early on. Let's hear your arguments. So now he's like, well, let's hear yours. He's like, we're not convinced, and the guy can't, he's got nothing. He's just repeating the same thing over and over and over again and going over each thing they already had gone through. He just won't let go. Obviously. And then we get to that part where, he throws his wallet on the ground, on the table, and the picture of the sun comes out, and he's just that, he just breaks down, and that was
grabs it and rips it up.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's amazing juxtaposition too. Like you said, Cannoli. Here's Henry Fonda being asked the same questions in the beginning,
Mhm.
but he's cool, calm, and collected, and
Right.
and very grounded. Whereas, of course, I'm not good with names. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm pathetic with names. But this guy is, he's emotionally imbalanced and just unstable and so upset and projecting too that, his arguments are so unstable. It's on shaky foundations. So it's a really good payoff in a way.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point, Stephen.
Yep.
Yeah, it's true.
Yep.
Oh,
so
yeah.
it's kind of like, I want others to feel my pain and project my pain onto others because I'm in pain too.
I'm suffering. You should suffer. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's not good. We should not be passing our pain onto others. That's not right.
Definitely very relevant to today's society.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
That's why this movie still. I think that's why it still holds up.
Yeah. Agreed. Well, it's got the human soul factor where we can all relate to these characters, even though this is the 1950s.
Yeah, of course.
Who cares if it's not no AC?
Everybody's sweating, wearing bad hats.
Yeah,
it's like
that's how good the character developments are, and the characters, how they were fleshed out. Like, it's brilliant.
It's excellent.
Yeah, I actually grew up in a house that had no air conditioning on the second floor.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not fun living back east where you had like the air conditioning in the windows kind of thing, and it's not like central air like we have here now. It's like that was a little rough sometimes.
It's funny. My parents talk about growing up with no air conditioning because they were born in the early 50s, and my dad was from the Bronx, so he would be sleeping out on the fire escape, and and then my mom would just like have the windows open all night long. It's just what it was.
Yeah, you had to do what you had to do, right? I mean, they survived. It's amazing how we rely so much on this stuff. I could, like, living in Arizona now, I can't imagine. I couldn't live without air conditioning. If it goes out for a day, I that's it. I'll sleep in my car if I have to. But back then they just did what they had to do.
Yeah.
Mom in the chat.
Yeah. So this ending is fantastic. It just really sets up it just cleans up everything so nice, and and kind of feel for the guy at the end, right? He see, because you feel bad for him in a way, even though he's, like you said, Mags, he's emotional. He's just they got this rage. Obviously, the way especially these days, you see how he treated his son, and still you have some empathy for him though as a human being. Like, this poor guy hasn't. He knows he made a mistake with this kid, but he'll never probably admit it, right? He'll never apologize, but he's still a father. He still misses and loves his son. So when he breaks down, that human emotion comes up. You just like, you kind of want to hug the guy. You'd be like,
well, I love the fact that Henry Fonda gets his coat. And kindly, lightly, puts his hand on his back and just helps him with his coat. And it's just a simple little, he doesn't have to be, it can be manly to show a little bit of,
passion,
compassion to your fellow man. So it's
this wasn't a personal thing. Like, he didn't hate the guy. He just wanted to get his, save this kid's life, like you said, with any reasonable doubt. And Yeah, that was a good scene. You didn't
Yeah.
think without having to say anything or hug the guy, or like today that would get super emotional and
And
you
crying
know
in hallways.
exactly.
Right.
Yeah, that was very good.
And he just crumbles.
Yeah. Yeah, he breaks down. He says those words "not guilty" really fast. Like he knows. All right.
And he
Yeah.
repeats it 3 times.
Yeah, he's like, I'm done. I can't go on with this. Yeah, and you can tell when they're leaving here, they're all just emotionally spent. They're just like walking out slow, and I think this is where some of the music comes back in a little bit, if I'm not mistaken. But
Yes,
it's
it
like you
does.
said, it's just the right time. It's not overpowering. It's just very subtle, and yeah, I like this scene where they're walking out of when they start walking out of the jury and they're walking outside.
I
Yeah,
love how he Fonda takes one last look at the room.
Yeah, looks around. Yeah,
Because how many times is this going to happen in your life? You know, where you go,
Yeah.
be a juror.
yeah, something like this, especially a murder case, and yeah, you meet all these people and you have this all these emotions, and you basically saved some kid's life, and you convinced a whole jury because of that reasonable doubt, and then it's over like that. It's just the typical thing. It's just the way life is, right? All these things you kind of go through and you look back and it's just over so fast, and you're like, wow, I can't believe that just happened to me, and look how have I grown from that, what have I learned from that, and then boom, right back to your normal routine.
What do you guys make of I like it's a very long scene and shot of all them walking out of the courthouse and onto the steps, whatever. What do you make of the I'm just curious what y'all's thoughts are on the scene where the old guy and Henry Fonda shake hands and they say each other's names, and they still part ways, but it's almost like a sign of respect kind of thing.
Yeah,
like the revealing of your name is because we don't know their names until those two at the end, and it's almost I don't know. I don't know how to make of it, but it's like
I kind of see it that way.
Yeah.
I kind of see it that way. Like he respects the old man, gets respect from him because he's he's an elderly man, and he stood his ground. And then Henry Fonda's
he was also the first one that flipped too,
right?
Yeah,
right.
He Fonda's character showed him respect.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
and like Max said, that the only two you really know their names at the end, and yeah, I think you're right there. I think it's a sign of respect. It's a good way to end it, and how far these people have come throughout this whole night.
It's so good. There's so much to happen.
Fantastic.
I love this part too, where it goes over all the fragments of the discussion and notes and
the cigarette butts and
yeah right. I wonder how many cigarettes were smoked in those 3 weeks of filming.
No kidding. Yeah, I like how it pans over, and then you can kind of just see the scenes kind of meshing into each other. Like the leaving of the room, and then them coming outside, and it's just great work here. And you see the baseball guys running to kind of taxi. He's like, I got to get to my game. He's still like, whatever. I like how they stuck with that throughout the whole movie, though. That's just consistency of him just being who he is,
And they just left that knife,
Yeah. Well, 1957, different rules, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's where the old man comes over to him. Hey, what's your name?
And it's not, they don't, excuse me. They, it's not like they say, hey, would you like to get a cup of coffee sometime? It's more like, what's your name? My name is this. They shake hands and, they walk away. It's, yeah. It's very significant because of the fact that this is the only time you hear 2 of their names. So it's such a good movie.
Yeah, it's fantastic. It's one of my favorites of all time. I just randomly watch it once in a while. My teenage daughter will come down and go, "What? How old is this movie?" I'm like, "Listen, you need to sit here and get an education."
Sit down. Sit.
Yeah.
Hey now. I am 34 years
Look-
old. I
look who
love
shows
all
up.
these old movies.
No, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean. It's I like I said, I watched it with my grandparents, my parents growing up, and
Look who
they-
showed up at the end.
Nos.
Nice.
And AJ, hey man.
Abomination AJ, what's up, Abomination AJ?
Oh, okay. Famous Amos cookie. Hey AJ. But anyway,
Yeah,
this movie.
Too, the writer Reginald Rose wrote this because he was in a juror's room,
Interesting.
and it was a very similar case too.
Oh, interesting. Okay, didn't know that.
See, you hear that, current script writers? You write from experience. Whoa.
Yeah, you're not. You're not
All
just
right.
told that you should. Yeah, it's really sad when you do look at current. I mean, you do get some gems here and there, but it's like I always say, you got to kind of really weed out. Well, first of all, the amount of content that comes out today is just ridiculous. It's so much, but you kind of really have to weed out the good stuff from the bad stuff, and it's just far and few between. It's really hit and miss these days, and it's kind of sad that we don't have that. We can't get back to this point. I don't know if we ever will.
Yeah.
But, yeah, that's why we have these things we can go back to and go, oh, okay, this is how it's done. This is the correct way to make a movie or any kind of entertainment.
It inspires you too.
Oh, 100%.
I mean, in the last 10 years, what movie have you seen that inspired you?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I don't think the Avengers is inspiring anybody. I mean, especially now with Disney. It's true. It's true. You watch these old classics and
Just because the old movies were grounded and rooted in reality.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
not in a sense of reality is implanted into the movies. It's just a matter of they're grounded and they're based on human experiences and
100%.
and we can all relate to these things.
Yeah. Whereas like today, you have people coming out of film school being told they're special and just not having life experiences and just writing from what they're taught. And, and they're not told they're wrong. They're not told that that's bad. They just, then you get She-Hulk, like this is what, it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but that's why we're here, I guess. To kind of call it out and make videos like this, talk about old stuff or call this stuff out. And it's not to be negative. We want good stuff. That's the misinterpretation that people get when they attack. It's like, well, no, we don't want it to be bad, but we can't just sit by anymore and not say anything.
Exactly.
It's gotten to a point where it's just so ridiculous that you have to speak up. And so that's why this community is just exploding, because I think most people are tired of it.
Yeah.
And so, that's why it's important to talk.
They're talking about Uncle Ben's rice.
Yeah, that AJ started the conversation. I don't know, that just came out of nowhere.
I know.
Uncle Ben saw this in the theater.
I have to probably say it was probably Nas's fault because he probably stirred it.
I can see that.
Stirred up the trouble.
That's hilarious.
I'm not putting that one up, Nas.
Oh, God.
Yeah, good idea.
Oh gosh,
That's hilarious.
It is hilarious.
Well,
this is such a great movie. Thank you, Jacob.
It is. Yeah, thank you.
Great choice.
Thank y'all for coming on. Yeah,
of course.
it makes the show, and of course the chat. They really
always with the chat. Yeah.
So, well, thank y'all for coming on and talking about this great movie.
Thank you
I'll have
for
you
having
all on again because you Pops, Mags, and Cannoli, y'all all brought up really good points, and it was great. So, do y'all have anything coming up, Cannoli?
I do. I will be on actually Roman of the Empire show Thursday talking Coen Brothers movies. That's at 5 p.m. Eastern, and I have my own show Friday, Whiskey Podcast. My ego on there, and then Sunday I'm going to be on the Renaissance Nerds show for their roundtable. So I have a full week, but
That's busy. Yeah.
it's busy. It's busy, but it's good stuff. So I'm not going to complain. It's a blessing actually. So I'm happy about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Steven, if you could share Cannoli's channel, please.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, Max, what about you?
Well, tomorrow I will be recording a video with Pops. I think we're going to be talking about. I have to relook at our conversation, but I think we're going to be talking about classic movies. So we'll be talking about that, and I think the video will be coming out this Sunday morning. So be on the lookout for that. I do believe, and I don't want to speak for Pops, but I think that's how it rolls with him with this series. So be on the lookout for that. And me, Lady Balefire, Shelby AC, and Squeak Mouse are trying to get a live stream going where we're going to be talking about girly things in the 90s and early 2000s, like movies and fashion, and laugh at stupid fashion too at the same time. So I know it's girly stuff, but it's just overall good old fun and looking back on nostalgia trip, and
I'll be there.
Come hang out and laugh with us, and make fun of girly stuff too.
I'll definitely be there.
I mean, some of the girly stuff was kind of cool. It's just it's just other things like yeah. But be on the lookout for that. We were trying to go for it this week. I think it may be, when I was looking at some of the conversation, it looks like it may be next week. So be on the lookout for that. It will be. We haven't pinned down a date and time yet. So just be on the lookout.
Yeah. Next week I'll be having a stream on Star Trek: The Undiscovered Country.
Ooh, yes.
Nice. My second favorite Star Trek movie.
Awesome.
Yeah, and Roman, Blair, Manamanethran, and Sudoku 24 will be on. So it'll be a big one.
Nice.
I wanted to go on that one too, but unfortunately I had something else going on. So it's like, that's a good one too. It's so many good choices, Jacob.
There's also I'm doing a Close Encounter stream the next week with
that's a good one too.
JT and Ms. Martin Muses.
Ooh.
And Shield Wall, I think, is going to be on too.
Ooh, nice.
Nice.
Well, thanks to y'all for coming, and thanks to the chat. Thanks for the new people that came by and hung out with us. Thank y'all. And I hope everybody has a good night and a good rest of your week. Y'all take care.
Take care now.
See ya.